Episode 4, Wake Up Call. Here I am, at 23 years old, trying to hide the anxiety on my face as I drive with my family in the car, getting ready to make one of the most difficult journeys of my martial arts career. I'm heading out to Kansas City, Kansas, for my dojo's winter training camp. A camp whose weather is going to be no more than 30 degrees every day. And for most people, that might be normal, but for a Florida kid like me, that's going to be pretty difficult. After just a 2-hour drive from Jacksonville to Orlando, I was already on the plane, with all my anxieties with me. Yet still, as I looked outside seeing the beautiful clouds, there was still some semblance of hope. There was also a sadness knowing that I was going to miss the beautiful blue sky of Florida for a much colder one in Kansas. Now, I don't care what anybody says, there is just something spectacularly beautiful about flying over a sea of clouds. Aside from some of the food I was going to eat later, this was probably the most amazing part of the entire trip. But just like that, the beautiful Florida sky was gone, and a much colder and calmer Kansas sky was there to meet me. Before getting ready to go train the next morning, me, my Shihan, and some of my senpais decided to watch some old Kyokushin film study in order to get a better understanding of different techniques we could potentially implement into our own arsenal. That night, I slept on the air mattress, trying to get some type of rest, but it was difficult. I had so many anxieties and worries knowing that tomorrow was going to be extremely painful, training in the snow. Regardless, I tried to focus on the memory of those calm clouds, knowing that tomorrow was going to feel more like a storm. Finally, it was time to start training. Our Shihan woke us up at about 8 o'clock. We had less than 10 minutes to prepare and get ready for the cold weather outside. Just as I had predicted, it was starting to snow. The weather outside was 29 degrees, and we had nothing on underneath our gis. It was a cold day to train. Unlike most training camps, karate people tend to have a military mindset when it comes to training, pushing through any weather, any difficulty, in order to achieve the goal. Within the first 15 minutes of being outside, our hands were already starting to freeze, and we were only going to take things further by removing the top of our gis and focusing a lot on strength and body conditioning, something that many karatekas in different disciplines do. After training for about a good 45 minutes in the freezing cold temperatures, we decided to pack things up and get ready to go rest. This is how we train for the first 3 days. Karate Kieth. Karate Kieth. After you've had several days of intense training, it makes a great difference when you get to go out and just celebrate with your team. My Shihan decided it was a good time for us to go out on the town and enjoy some delicious food. And that deliciousness came in the form of a birria pizza. Also, if I'm butchering the name, please forgive me. But I had never had birria before and it was so delicious. My Shihan also thought it'd be a funny idea that all of us would have to eat one entire pepper before the night was over. And to say the least, I did not take it very well. But after a night of fun and laughs, it was time to go back into training. Now honestly, this was the part of the training that I really felt was the most beneficial for me personally. My Shihan knew that I had a lot of anxieties and stressors about my everyday life, so he instructed me that morning to go out into the woods, find a quiet place, and train on my own for the day. It was actually very important and very good for me. It gave me a time to reflect, to think about the things I'm going through, and to be able to let it all out. And I think we can all agree that this is a concept that goes beyond just martial arts. We all need healthy outlets in our lives in order to release stress. I don't know what your outlet is, but the same way that my Shihan knew I needed one, I really hope that you find one that is healthy and allows you to relieve stress. The evenings were a little bit different though. Me and my Shihan would go out at about 8 o'clock at night, and we'd train for 30 to 40 minutes in the freezing cold, barefoot. This training was about building mental strength as well as physical endurance. We focused on different combinations, different punching techniques, kicking techniques, things that would be applicable for a kumite. We also worked on other things like kata, but for the sake of the video, I want to focus on the things that had the most impact for me. And make no mistake, although it just seems like punching and kicking, my Shihan was very specific on what he wanted me to work on. These combinations were already difficult to perform, but they were even more difficult to do in the freezing cold temperatures. But everyone knows that a good Shihan or a good sensei is going to push you in order to see the best you come out. And after a great week of intense training, it was time to celebrate. I had the privilege of being with my team for New Year's, and my Shihan decided to cook us amazing food. Obviously, you can tell that the best thing for me was the ribs. It was truly a fantastic time to celebrate the new year and be thankful for all the great achievements we had throughout the year.
Happy New Year.
And just like that, an entire week of training had gone by, and I was already heading back to Florida. There were so many great lessons that I had the privilege of learning. After saying a bittersweet goodbye to all of my teammates and friends, it was time to head home. Honestly, although the training was really great and I had the opportunity to experience a lot of things, I realized that there's still a lot I need to work on. I'm not as strong as I think I am. And if anything, this camp wasn't just about getting stronger. For the most part, this camp was a wake-up call.